In this video, we will talk about the first differences between the game and the series. In this video, we will reveal details that no one paid attention to in the second episode of The Last of Us. Hi, one of the most questions I think about when I watch series like The Last of Us or The Walking Dead is whether there is an end to zombies, or if we will live with the situation. Is this disease a punishment from God, and there is a cure for it, or what? And many of these questions. And if I were in the same circumstances, would I be selfish and think about losing myself? And many more such questions, and in this second episode of The Last of Us, most of these questions have been answered. For me, the best title for this episode is Duality. In this episode, we saw how it is possible for a peaceful old woman who has no evil inside her when she learns of the disease and the policeman asks her about the treatment. She said, "There is no cure, and the only solution is to blow up the place." And also from the duplications that we saw how at the beginning of the first and second episode, the series talked in Flashback about that there is no cure for the disease, and how at the end of the second episode hope began to return again. The events of the episode begin on September 24, 2003, 2 days before the virus arrived in the USA. And the amazing is the speed of transmission of the disease within 2 days, moving from Indonesia to the USA. And if you remember at the beginning of the first episode when Sarah and Jules were sitting eating, we heard on the radio that there were problems and disturbances in Indonesia. In this episode, we see officers going for a mycologist, and we see how peaceful this scientist is sitting eating her food quietly. And I went with all respect with the officers without knowing the reason. And when she arrived, she examined a sample of a human body, and we saw the features of this woman, and she was surprised by everything that happened around her. And the thing that surprised me was how the world was filmed without an epidemic, to the extent that I thought in or 3 minutes that I was not following The Last of Us. And I came out of the episode in order to make sure. And then we saw the woman asking the policeman what happened. The policeman told us more details about this dead girl. He told us that she works in a flower factory and that she attacked 3 of her colleagues. And the police imprisoned these 3 to make sure if they showed signs of infection. And after the signs of infection appeared, the police killed them. And the problem is that there are 14 people missing. After hearing the archaeologist about this, her facial features changed, and she said that she wanted to spend time with her family because she knew there was no cure for the disease. Because Indonesia is the largest exporter of wheat in the world, and so the infection spreads rapidly. The nice thing about it is that in the first episode, Jules told us that at breakfast he made a diet of flour, and how Sarah, when she went to the neighbor's house, they offered her cookies, but she did not eat it. And also at night, Jules did not prepare the cake because he had forgotten it. That is, during the spread of infection, Sarah or Jules did not eat any flour. I think that few of you have paid attention to this information. Complete the review with us, and we will reveal details that no one paid attention to. From some of the nice differences between the game and the series. In the game, we saw that Jules and Tess complete the mission without rest, and they are receptive to Ellie. But in the series, we saw that they went to sleep away from Ellie, and they were not reassured by Ellie. And we see that Tess is trying to convince Jules that there can be a cure for the disease. But Jules' reaction was logical, that in 20 years, there were many rumors that there was a cure for the disease, and all of them were false. They started asking Ellie why fireflies were interested in her. The answer was clear and simple. They wanted to make a vaccine through Ellie, and they had to go from East USA to West in order to deliver it to fireflies and to scientists in order to make a vaccine. The second difference is that when they arrived at the place of Ellie's delivery to the Fireflyers group, they found them dead. In the game, Fedora intervenes on them. But in the series, what happened is the opposite. The mushrooms stuck in a person's body and gave an alert to all the zombies, and they brought the zombies in a very terrifying way. And honestly, I am with the event that happened in the series, because if we think in a logical way, there is no reason for Fedora to exist in an area that is all epidemic. They also explained how zombies can communicate with each other. It was a great scene in everything, how Tess were trying to light the fire, and they reached the deadly French kiss. One of the most beautiful things is the photographic environment and everything related to the photographic environment. Everything reminds me of the days when I used to play the game. Even when they approached the wreckage and the hole in the ground in the game, I didn't know what the origin of this hole was. But if we go back to the advice of the lady in Indonesia when she told them that they should blow up the place, and they acted on the advice of the lady. One of the questions that took place in this episode when Ellie asked Jules, "Where did you come from?" the last of which was, "They came from Texas," and Ellie asked her, "What brought you to Boston?" I hope this question will be answered in a flashback in the next episode. And one of the terrifying information they told us is how all the zombies are connected to each other, and this is not science fiction, but science fact because mushrooms in nature have their roots connected to each other. One of the types of zombies that came out is a new type, which is the one who hears and loses his sense of vision. A new and scary genre. A beautiful episode and a difference, or the most beautiful between the game and the series, and a hidden connection between the previous episode. My rate for the episode is 9 out of 10 beautiful episodes, and I am still optimistic in this series. Do not forget to subscribe if you are a fan of the world of The Last of Us or cinema in general. And like before you leave the video. Peace.